Welcome everyone. Today we're joined by Maggie and Eva from Polaron, and today we're going to be speaking about European citizenship laws in Poland. Over to you, Eva.
Thank you, Stephanie, and good morning to you, Maggie.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be doing the sessions weekly during the summer, well, Australian summer, US winter, Polish winter. Although it's a little bit gloomy out there today, it is, believe it or not, summer, everyone that's watching. So let's get right into it, Maggie. We're going to be talking about Polish citizenship laws. Can you maybe give us a quick summary about how it all works? How does one become a Polish citizen?
So first of all, we have to assess actual person's eligibility for the process. So we have to know when his ancestors left Europe, where they were living, when they naturalized in the country of the destination. We have to know a little bit more information about the whole lineage leading to actual prospect or actual customer. And yes, based on that, we will be able to know which process we can follow and if the person is eligible for citizenship by descent or something else.
Right. And generally speaking, Poland's laws when it comes to citizenship are quite flexible compared to some other countries. And there's one rule that Poland follows, which is citizenship through descent. What does that mean, Maggie?
So that means that you can be eligible based on your bloodline. So based on the fact that, for example, your grandfather or great-grandfather was born in Poland and they held citizenship, Polish citizenship, and the lineage was passed on to yourself.
Okay, so in other words, you need a direct ancestor whom you are related to be able to pass on citizenship onto you. So you need to otherwise have been born Polish, yeah? Is that correct?
Yes, so yes, you are practically born Polish because the lineage being passed by blood to you, even though, for example, your parents never held a Polish passport or you never held Polish passport, you are being born Polish just by the fact that your grandfather held Polish citizenship.
Okay, so it doesn't matter where you're born.
No.
It doesn't matter really essentially how many generations you go back to.
No.
But what matters is that you have Polish blood and you can prove it, right?
Correct. I would just only mention that it does not matter how many generations we're going back to, but due to Polish history, it is actually quite important when the ancestors left Poland. So maybe I will mention a bit more detail it. So if ancestor left before 1918, so before Poland received its independence, or was reinstated as a country, then we would have to most probably follow our alternative way to Polish citizenship. So we would not necessarily focus for citizenship on descent, while when they left after 1918, depending through all different factors, we most probably following citizenship by descent.
Right. So in 1918, when Poland regained independence, it was wiped off the map for 123 years. The lawmakers started building legislation essentially in all aspects of Poland's life, but one of them was citizenship, of course. So in 1920, the first set of laws was introduced, and since then, it's always been based on descent. So what we're trying to say with Maggie here is that as long as you have one direct Polish ancestor, so not aunts, cousins, it needs to be directly in your bloodline, you're quite likely eligible through descent for Polish citizenship, provided your family left after 1918. There are some exceptional cases where if somebody left before, we might still be able to pursue it through descent. But for the most part, we look at your family history, as Maggie explained, in the context of the Polish law, which has changed a few times over the last 100 and how many years? How long? 101 years Poland's been, no, 103 years Poland's been independent. So what were some of the major changes in the law, Maggie, if you could briefly take us through?
So the changes, the most significant ones were in 1951, So for example, before 51, females could have been a little bit discriminated. So for example, they could lose citizenship through the marriage. Basically, they were unable to hold dual citizenship, while male ancestors were protected by a conscription law, a conscription to Polish army. So females, usually if they naturalized or married, they could potentially lose their Polish citizenship, never pass that on to further generations. And yeah, that conscription, or the fact that someone before 51 was held public office in a foreign country, for example, that all was scrapped, so that was completely removed. And in 51, we have a fresh legislation, which is a bit more flexible, or even more flexible. And yeah.
And currently in place, we have the laws of 2012, so they less than 10 years old, and there was a major change introduced in that law, that if you're still alive, you can actually reclaim your citizenship even if you lost it. So recently, you know, in the last 5 or 6 years, we've been doing quite a few of those cases where somebody may have lost their citizenship or been forced to renounce. Poland now has a process of you being able to regain it, except that it cannot be done for people that are deceased. You need to be alive to be able to claim it back, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And just very briefly, because we are running out of time, believe it or not, could you explain to us what brand of citizenship, because it's yet another pathway into citizenship, is that right?
Yes, it is another pathway. So that process was made for people which are not eligible for a citizenship by descent. There are different factors which can influence that. So Polish government thought that it would be good to give people a chance, even if they feel very Polish, they have that connection, so they can still claim that. You will have to do a little bit of coaching, so you will have to prove that you have a connection to Poland, that you can speak basics of the Polish language, you are, for example, part of some Polish organizations, you are active member of Polish community, your professional profile will be quite important, so your financial situation, that you are able to support yourself, or your occupation, if you have any education. Based on that, presidential office would make a decision if they should grant you that citizenship. So it's not something which you're receiving as your birthright, it's something which you would be given from the specific point from your life.
Right, because you are not born Polish essentially, and we can't prove that your ancestors may have been Polish, but something may have happened from the time that they immigrated to the time you were born that affects your line of descent essentially, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and from what you said, it already sounds to me like it's a lot of work. Unlike the descent pathway, where all you have to have is Polish blood and be able to prove it, all you have to have is, yeah. But the grant pathway requires a lot of work, a lot of commitment, and also passion for everything Polish. And you've, worked with a lot of people that have chosen that pathway. Why do you think they do that?
Well, I think it is hard work, but it is a great journey. I'm sure it is really amazing because you are reconnecting with that heritage much more than through the process of descent, because that's more of a paperwork, which we are doing for a customer. While here, you are actually have to learn a little bit more about Poland. So you're truly reconnecting with that heritage. So I think that's why people are deciding for it.
Yeah. And we've had some really great success stories, although the journey is difficult. Maggie, thank you for taking us through the basics of the Polish citizenship law. You have worked with hundreds of people over the last, well, it'll be 3 years in May, since you've been with Polaron. And if anyone has any questions, Maggie is actually our senior specialist. She's not only very competent, she's also very caring and gets very excited about your stories. So do share them with us. Maggie's contact details will be on your screen in the comments shortly. And as you said, Maggie, step number 1 is to give us your family tree and documents so that we can assess it, right? Is that what you do?
Yes, that's correct. We'll have a chat first.
So,
yeah, we'll schedule a call. I will ask a few questions, and then I will ask our customers to send family tree, and I can do my work with more details and assess it.
Yeah, amazing. All right. Well, thank you again for your time, and we'll see you next week.
All right, thank you so much.
Thanks, Maggie.
Bye.